Marsh. Anybody else mentioned it?
Councillor Pryor as well.
Councillor Pryor, yes, sorry, thank you. Any declarations of interest, pecuniary interest? And then I don't think we'll be item 3. Oh, Councillor Waller's here. Hi, are you all right? I don't think you can hear me. You all right, Andrew?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Fine, good, okay. We just made a start. Exclusion of public and press. I don't think we have any exempt information. Can we agree the minutes of the last meeting on the 8th of July?
Chair, if I could
Fine.
just, I was there.
Oh, sorry,
I am
Andrew.
I am on the meeting.
Yes,
So,
sorry, I forgot to record Councillor Waller's attendance at the last meeting, so I'll
right,
correct that.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we'll go on to the item 5. It's quite a short agenda today, but Melanie's advised that we need to get ready for a long haul in September because the agenda will be very full. Now, I think also we've got some good news from funding. So, Melanie, do you want to mention that to us now?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So in the report, I mean, obviously we're talking about generally the capital programme, and just to note that the expenditure that we have this year, and certainly that we're forecasting to spend this year, is the highest it's been. So we're looking at just over 300 million this year in terms of our spend. And we've got a couple of good news items from government in terms of additional funding. So the Getting Building Fund that we had to turn around pretty quickly in terms of spade ready schemes, that has been approved. So we had 15 schemes that we put forward and we've secured 52.6 million. And because we are now a mayoral combined authority, or certainly working towards that, we've also got access to other funds that other MCAs can access, including Brownfield Fund. And we've secured funding for Brownfield Fund for housing development and regeneration. So that's really good news that we've got some additional funding, and we're just working through bringing those to you at a programme level to get an initial approval, and then we'll start working on the individual projects. Obviously, with the Getting Building Fund, they're the ones that are almost ready to run. So therefore, they should come through fairly quickly in terms of approvals. And we need to spend that funding by March 2022. Sorry, so quite a tight turnaround on that. But good news in that we've now received those awards.
That's excellent news. I think we'll all be excited about that. It's whether we can get the spend out the door, but I'm sure everybody will be working hard to do that. We may need some additional help, Melanie, for the team to deal with that, but you come back to us on that.
Yes, I mean, given the speed at which we need to move on this, and we need to make sure that the full business cases are ready for consideration, we may look to get some temporary external support just so that we can get moving quickly on it. So we're just working that through at the moment with sponsors and partners. Yeah.
I think we'd all support that. It's important that we get this done. It's a very tight time scale, but we need to seize the opportunity for the funding. Okay, thanks for that, Melanie. Right, do you want to? Who's taking us through the next through the update?
Yeah, so on the capital spend report, we've got 3 projects for consideration today. So we've got one of the TCF ones that's looking at active travel. We've got City Connect Extension, which is the canal scheme. And then we've also got Tong Street, which is part of our transport fund. So Fiona's going to kick off in terms of our TCF scheme. So do you want to just take us through the highlights, please, Fiona?
Yes, thank you, Melanie.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hopefully you can all hear me now. Thank you. So yeah, the TCF scheme that's for consideration today is the Dewsbury-Batley-Tingley Sustainable Travel Corridor. So this scheme, although I think in the papers it mentions it covers Kirklees and Lees, it actually only covers Kirklees. It's the Kirklees aspect of that corridor. So the Dewsbury-Batley-Tingley corridor scheme runs through the centre of the North Kirklees growth zone, and that growth zone includes significant housing and employment sites, and the corridor currently faces serious transport challenges around sustainable transport, including an unreliable bus offer, poor access to bus stops, and a lack of cycling and walking infrastructure. The scheme will implement a range of bus priority measures and improve accessibility to bus stops through widening and improving footways and crossing infrastructure along the corridor. This will also be complemented by a range of improvements to the cycle network and including a reconfiguration of the junction between the A653 and B6124. The scheme is still in the early stages of development, and it aims to reduce the use of private vehicles along the corridor and enhance the offer for cycling, walking and bus. And we believe this has the capacity to reduce traffic congestion and road transport emissions along the corridor, improving local air quality. The expected outputs and benefits of the scheme include improved safety for all road users, improved bus reliability and journey times, an increase in cycling and walking, and improvements for pedestrians and cyclists in terms of safety, and through all the measures improving access to education and employment opportunities, and as I mentioned previously, linking through to those key development sites. A number of high-level risks have been identified, including disruption to the road network during the construction period, which is obviously anticipated, but we will undertake continued public consultation and engagement to manage those communications and expectations around disruption. There's potential for stakeholders in the public to object to any proposals. There may be a need to reduce parking along the corridor to accommodate both improved footways and also cycle provision. So there'll be a parking strategy developed alongside the infrastructure proposals. The scheme builds upon the West Yorkshire Plus Transport Fund scheme for Murfield to Dewsbury to Lees corridor. So there may be some dependencies and interface with that scheme going forward, but the two teams are working closely together to ensure that that's mitigated and the scheme is delivered in a joined up way. So the overall package costs for the scheme are in the region of £6 million. This scheme wasn't funded at all in the low scenario, but £6 million was included in the high scenario. And now we have the commitment from the Combined Authority to progress the high scenario and potentially utilise devolution funding to enable this. That £6 million is recommended for indicative approval at this time. To date, development costs of £149,253 have already been approved to progress the scheme to outline business case. So there isn't a further approval coming forward at this time for further development funding. The forecast completion date for the package is in line with the TCF commitment to deliver by 2023, and it's currently forecasted to complete in September 2022. The project has been appraised as having a strong strategic fit to the strategic economic plan and also the TCF objectives. There has been some early work done on the economic case, however further work will be needed to identify the full range of benefits and therefore the benefit cost ratio. So the recommendations to this committee are that the Dewsbury-Batley-Tingley Sustainable Travel Corridor proceeds through decision point 2 and work commences on the outline business case, that an indicative approval for the total project value of £6 million is granted from the Transforming Cities Fund, and that future approvals are made in accordance with the assurance pathway as set out. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Fiona. Any questions? No, we're all happy with that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Rob's going to take us through the next project, which is the City Connect Canal scheme.
Okay, thank you, Melanie.
Okay, thank you. So the City Connect Phase 3 Canal Scheme is part of the City Connect programme, which seeks to encourage an uptake in cycling and walking as the natural choice for short journeys or as part of a longer journey. The Canals Phase 3 scheme will deliver infrastructure improvements along 2 sections of canal towpath in the following areas: between Milnes Bridge and Slowett along the Huddersfield Narrow Canal within the Kirklees district, and between Shipley and Appley Bridge along the Leeds-Liverpool Canal within the Bradford district. The projects will build upon infrastructure previously delivered through City Connect, continuing to fill the gaps to ensure a high quality strategic cycling and walking network that utilises the canal towpaths as a traffic-free, flat and attractive alternative to the main roads, reducing cyclist road traffic collisions. The scheme will deliver inclusive growth and better quality of life by encouraging an uptake of cycling and walking that will encourage a move from travelling by car to cycling and walking for a range of journey purposes, and thereby delivering environmental benefits by reducing traffic congestion, reducing carbon emissions and improving air quality, contributing to the Leeds City region's climate emergency commitments. It will also provide health and wellbeing benefits to users and enhance connectivity and improve access to employment, skills, leisure and education for low-income and vulnerable groups via a low-cost sustainable travel mode. As such, the scheme supports the Leeds City region's strategic economic plan priority area 4, infrastructure for growth, and is aligned to supporting the principle of establishment of cycling as a major travel mode. The value for money assessment classifies the scheme as high value for money when assessed against the DFT's value for money criteria and has a benefit to cost ratio of 3.14 to 1. The total scheme cost is 1.363 million, which is to be fully funded by the Combined Authority from the West Yorkshire Transport Fund. The report requests that the Investment Committee recommends to the Combined Authority that the City Connect Phase 3 Canal Scheme proceeds through decision point 3 and work commences on activity 5, full business case with finalised costs. An indicative approval to the total project value of 1.363 million is given from the West Yorkshire Plus Transport Fund, and that future approvals are made in accordance with the assurance pathway and approval route outlined in the report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? We all happy with that?
Yeah, really pleased to see Shipley section going on. I know that's something that's been requested a lot in the local community, so pleased to see it moving forward, Chair.
Good, okay. Thanks very much. At some stage, I have a couple of questions from members of the public, but I'm going to take those at the end. It's quite unusual that the public have contacted us, but I think that's at least people are showing interest in what we're doing. So I'll raise those at the end. So are we okay to approve this? Fine, thank you. And the next project, who's taking this, Melanie?
Yeah, so the next one is Tongue Street, and James Bennett is going to present this one.
Fine, okay, James.
Hi, it's James here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
Good. Okay, I'll make a start. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about the Tongue Street scheme, which is in Bradford. So in the papers, it's in 2 parts, but the main part that I'm going to run through, it's on pages 36 to 40 in the papers. So the Tongue Street area is a key route in and out of Bradford city centre, along to the southeast of Bradford. It's a really key corridor. It carries 37,000 vehicles per day. And also that area of Bradford, it will help to unlock future development areas. So for example, for housing, there's the Homewood housing area in the nearby vicinity. Also, there's different employment areas due to develop, such as the enterprise zone in the Sticker Lane area, which is at the end of Tongue Street on the Bradford end. So there's a lot of improvements proposed along the corridor, so in benefiting all modes. So for example, journey times by car by 4 minutes along the corridor, by bus for 2 minutes along the corridor, and there's various cycling and walking, so improvements at crossing points, etc. along the corridor. So we're looking that the benefits will generate an uptake in 20% for cycling trips, sorry, it's 20% in walking trips and 300% in cycling trips along the corridor. So at the moment, as a lot of people are moving to other modes such as walking and cycling, this scheme will really help to enable those people to make those cycling trips. It'll also increase improving air quality, so it will reduce greenhouse gases by 34,000 tonnes of CO2 emissions over the life of the scheme. So there's another quirk to this scheme that I wanted to mention where there's a really good benefit. At the moment, it's proposed that the funding is through the West Yorkshire Transport Fund locally, but Bradford are going to develop in tandem with the scheme to submit to us. They've also put in a bid to the Department for Transport through the MRN funding potential schemes. So this money that we're seeking today, which will help Bradford to develop the business case, it'll be to move on the business case not only for the Transport Fund, but for the DFT submission. So if Bradford are successful with their submission, the total scheme cost of £24 million, the DFT would pay centrally from a new different pot £20 million towards the scheme, with the local contribution being £4 million. So in effect, that would save locally and put back into the Transport Fund pot £20 million. So it's a really good scheme for continuing funding today, because it might, in the end, enable access and unlocking central government funding, and therefore less of a requirement locally, so we can spend that money on other schemes if that was successful. So today we're asking for £2.53 million of funding to work on that next steps of the business case to progress the scheme. If the scheme is successful, it would look to submit the FBC in 2022 and start on site later that year. So in the papers on page 39, there's a summary of the recommendations. So I won't read through all of them, but the main ones are that the scheme continues to proceed through decision point 3. So we accept the outline business case to work on the FBC, and also the Combined Authority reaffirms its £20 million contribution to the scheme, noting as well, I know we may be successful in external funding, but today we're asking for £2.53 million of funding to progress the scheme to the next decision point. That's the recommendations overall.
Okay. Thank you for that,
Oh,
James.
sorry, one thing I should have mentioned, apologies. I know there was a question earlier on about the actual limitation, sorry, where the scheme ends and starts.
Yes, I was just going to ask you. Yes.
Well, there you go. I know. Just to say, I do know the area, and are you referring to the end, the outbound end, where there's like a Shell petrol station on a roundabout on the A650, that end?
I'm not sure, James, because it's a question from the public.
Right.
And what they're saying is, why is the road widening not currently shown as extending all the way to the roundabout at the junction of the A650 and the B6135?
I think they are meaning that end, because as you come out of Bradford, it is 2 lanes each way, so 4 lanes. And then this would start there and it goes out of Bradford for about another 1.5 miles. It would end where it is as per the plan. I did speak to representatives from Bradford before, because of what the modelling and appraisal of all the traffic flows is showing. There'd be less of a benefit to dual up to that point, if that's the roundabout that they're meaning. At the end of the scheme, as you go out of Bradford, the congestion is less at that end where it goes up to the Shell petrol station. So there would be less benefits to extend it that far, basically. The modelling and appraisal of traffic flows is showing less of a benefit in that section. So that's why that's not proposed for including.
Okay, well, I think perhaps the best thing is if I send you the email from John Muddyman, and then you can respond to him.
Right.
Yeah, thanks very much. Is everybody else happy with the scheme? We agree that.
Yeah, really pleased to see this move forward, Chair. Obviously, it's something that's been on the investment committee table for quite some time, so it's good to see it move forward to a development phase and fingers crossed we can secure that funding from DFT as well, because I know it's something that local residents in Tong have wanted for many, many years, generations even, some would say. So
Well,
it's good to see
50 years is what your colleague said, isn't
yeah,
it?
absolutely. Yeah. So they're obviously born and bred in the area, and they're very keen to see this move forward. So pleased that the investment committee is bringing it forward.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, can we agree that? Thanks very much.
Okay.
The other question, I'll raise the other question now, Melanie, if and then we can sort of put that. It's from the Lead Cycling Campaign group, and what they're asking is that there's an excellent route, but it's something to do with, I was trying to see, the steep steps at the Skelton Grange Bridge area is a missing link, and it obviously cuts out the fact that it's a straight through cycle walkway. So I wondered if it's not too late for us to have a look at that. I think obviously it will need some funding. Could someone look into that, Melanie?
Yeah, I mean, just on that, I think Rob or Fiona is probably able to come in just to update.
Right, okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I can update. The Skelton Grange bridge area isn't part of any of the schemes that we're putting forward at the moment. I believe CRT are aware of this issue and are in discussions with a third party to look to make improvements in that area. So there's nothing active on our books at the moment for looking at that area, but I can certainly take that away and try and get an update from Canal and River Trust if that would be useful.
Okay, that would be fine, Rob. Thank you very much. Okay. Fine. Deal with those then. Right, the next item then. Who's dealing with this?
Sorry, I'm just bringing up the papers. There's just there's just one item that members had already seen previously, but it's been delegated to the MD. So our corporate technology programme, we've just agreed the final packages, and that was approved by the managing director under delegation. Fine. So that's the final one.
That's fine. We're all happy with that. Okay, been a very short meeting, but we obviously got through some business, and we'll all prepare ourselves for September. So I don't know if anybody's managing to get away and have a break, but if you are, take care and stay safe, and we'll see you all in September. And I hope you enjoy Euro Disney, Melanie, this week.
Thanks. Okay, thank you.
Yes, take care.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.